Hi guys, today we're going to continue our lesson on animal classifications. We've learned about mammals, we've learned about reptiles, and today we're going to learn about amphibians. So this will be the third class or group of animals we've learned about in the last week or so. So let's get started. I found this really cool book and I'm trying something new today, so hopefully it's going to work out. And let's do it together. I'm going to go ahead and read this book, and as I'm reading and going along, I'm going to highlight some words, circle some words, ask a few questions, and we'll see how it goes. All right, let's go. What is an amphibian? Splash. A frog jumps into a pond. Croak. A toad calls out to another toad. Nearby, a salamander crawls in the woods, and a newt creeps over leaves. How are these animals alike? They belong to the same animal class. They are all amphibians. Frogs are amphibians. They live on land and in water. Amphibian means double life. That's because most amphibians live two lives. They begin life in water, then they move to land. These animals are alike in other ways. They all have a backbone. Do you guys remember what that's called? Animals that have backbones? What's that vocabulary word we've discussed before? Vertebrate. Good job. They all have smooth, thin skin. Frogs and toads are common amphibians. So are salamanders. Caecilians look like big worms, but they are amphibians too. So here's a caecilian. It says caecilians live underground. Some of them grow as large as snakes. Eee. Not sure if I would like to see one of those out on a hike. There's a question down here. It's interesting. How many kinds of amphibians are there? Well, let's look over here at the answer. There are more than 6,000 kinds of amphibians that live on Earth. Wow, that's crazy. Let's learn about a few of them. The skin of an amphibian is special. It helps the animal breathe. You and I breathe with our lungs. So do some amphibians, but they mostly take in air through their skin. No other animal does this. Amphibians also use their skin to get water. You and I drink with our mouths. Not amphibians. Their skin soaks in water. So we could also use the word absorb, because absorb means to soak in or take in. So their skin soaks in or absorbs water. That's fascinating. So even though they have a mouth, they don't use it to gulp and drink water like we do. It just absorbs through their skin. All amphibians are cold-blooded. We've learned about another animal classification group that's cold-blooded. Do you remember which one? If you said reptiles, you're correct. Their bodies match the temperature around them. You and I are warm-blooded. Our body temperature stays the same. It does not change in the heat or the cold. But amphibians bask to warm up. They lay out in the sun. They soak up its heat, and then they find shady places to cool down. So you can see here is the word bask. And it really just means to lay out in the sun, to get warm, really enjoy the sunshine. So remember, cold-blooded animals need the temperature outside to help them regulate their body temperature. So if it's hot out, they're going to feel hot. If it's cold, they feel cold. Eat or be eaten. Zoom. An amphibian's tongue zips out. It catches its prey. Crunch. Its strong jaws bite down, and its sharp teeth chew the prey. Now I'm going to tell you guys, some amphibians have teeth, and some do use them to chew, but a lot of amphibians that have teeth actually just use their teeth to grab and hold on to their prey, and then they swallow their prey whole. But there are a few that actually do chew. Amphibians are carnivores. If you remember that word, it means they eat meat. They eat other animals. Amphibians eat bugs, worms, and snails. Bigger amphibians also eat birds and mice. Some even eat other amphibians. Yee. An earthworm makes a good meal for this amphibian. Yum. Would you guys want to eat an earthworm? Not me. Amphibians must watch out for predators. Ducks and small water animals eat baby amphibians. Larger animals, such as raccoons, eat adult amphibians. How do amphibians stay safe? Many of them taste bad. Their bodies make poison that comes out of their skin. It can make predators sick, so they keep away. Amphibians also run or jump away from predators. Here's another question down here. Why are some amphibians so colorful? The answer? The bright color sends a message to predators. It says, danger, I'm poisonous. Eating them can be deadly. I'm going to pause here for a minute, guys, and tell you I read an article about a Colorado toad, and it's very poisonous, and the article actually said that if like a larger animal such as a dog was to eat it or bite into it, it actually could harm or kill the dog. So they can be very, very dangerous if other animals eat them. I also wanted to pause for a minute. If you remember, there were some reptiles that were very colorful. Do you remember which reptiles were really colorful and that could change color to blend in with their environment? It was the chameleon. So chameleons are very colorful as well, but for different reasons. So some of these amphibians are colorful to warn their predators to stay away, whereas a reptile like a chameleon might use their colorful body to actually blend in or camouflage themselves to hide from predators. Living on land and in water. Some adult amphibians live in water, but most live on land. Amphibians like damp places. Damp is another word for moist or wet. They live in woods or rainforests. They also live near rivers, streams, and ponds. But amphibians can live almost anywhere. Some live in dry grasslands. Others live in icy places. They can even live in the desert, which is interesting because we know they need to keep their skin moist. Question: do any amphibians live in the sea? Answer: no. Amphibians need fresh water. Seawater is too salty. So could an amphibian live in the ocean? No, because the ocean is salt water. I put a question mark up here at the top of the page. It says, a stream in the woods is a good home for an amphibian. So why might this habitat be good for an amphibian to live in? Well, we know that they need access to sun and shade, right? Because they're cold-blooded. So there are certainly areas here you can see sunshine streaming through. So if they needed to warm up, they could go into the sunshine. If they needed to cool down, they would just go into the shade provided by the trees. They have water nearby, and we know in this type of habitat, there's rain, right? They're going to stay moist and be able to have access to a water source so they can drink, right? And we know they drink through their skin. So that seems like a perfect habitat for an amphibian to live in. Amphibians like damp places for a reason. Their skin must stay moist. Dry skin cannot soak in air or water. An amphibian with dry skin can die. So amphibians make mucus. What's the word mucus? This thick liquid coats their skin. So amphibians are covered in a thick liquid called mucus. Amphibians also rest under wet leaves. They stay inside damp, rotting logs, and they live underground. They come out when it rains. Why would they come out when it rains? Oh, probably to get water, right? To be able to soak up and absorb the water. Question: what is the difference between frogs and toads? Let's find out. Toads belong to the frog family. Toads have fat bodies and bumpy skin. Frogs are slimmer or thinner, and they have smoother skin. Interesting. A few things about amphibians that we've learned so far. Amphibians are cold-blooded, carnivores, vertebrates, and the only animal to take in air through their skin. Amphibians have smooth, wet, or moist skin, strong jaws, and gills when they're born to help them breathe underwater. Amphibians are born in water, then eventually most live on land. They live only in fresh water, which means they do not live in oceans. Most amphibians go to water to mate. Male frogs and toads call out to females. Their song says, "Hey, let's get together." The female lays her eggs. Some amphibians lay a few eggs at a time. Others lay thousands. The bullfrog lays up to 80,000 eggs at a time. Wow. And I think these pictures, guys, are fascinating because you can see through the egg. The egg is kind of like gelatinous. It's like a jelly that forms over them to help protect them. And you can see right through. So cool. Here's another picture I inserted. And so this is a frog laying eggs in a pond. And these are all the eggs here. And this actually shows when they hatch and they turn into tadpoles. So they lay eggs, but these eggs are very, very different from reptile eggs. So even though reptiles also lay eggs, the eggs themselves are very different. Most amphibian babies hatch out of eggs. Amphibian babies are called larvae, or tadpoles. Frog and toad larvae look like fish. They have a tail and no legs, and they have gills too. There's that word gills. The gills let them breathe underwater. Salamander larvae also have gills and tails. Most are born with tiny legs too. So guys, we don't have gills, so we can't breathe in oxygen underwater. We can hold our breath for long periods of time, but we can't breathe underwater. Some amphibians are larvae for only a few weeks. Others stay in the larva state for months or years. Then something amazing happens. Their bodies start to change. Frog and toad larvae grow legs. Their tail goes away. So do their gills. Most salamanders also lose their gills, but they keep their tail. Most grown amphibians leave the water, and they start living on land. So that's why they have the name amphibian, means two lives. They begin their lives in water, and then most live on land later on. Question: are all amphibians born in water? You always have to watch that word all, because there's a lot of rule breakers out there. We talk about this all the time. The answer: most amphibians are born in water, but some kinds of salamanders and frogs are born on land. They never live in water. So true or false? All amphibians are born in water. False, because there are some that are not. Amphibians in the world. Amphibians around the world help humans in many ways. They eat bugs that harm crops. Their poisons can be actually turned into medicines. They live in homes as pets. They are even a source of food for some people and other animals. So they're very helpful to farmers because they eat the bugs that would otherwise destroy the food that's being grown. Many amphibians are in danger. People have cut down their forest homes. Rivers, streams, and ponds are being polluted. These changes harm amphibians. Some kinds of amphibians have even gone extinct. And remember, extinct means you do not exist any longer. Like dinosaurs, they became extinct. They do not exist. People are working to protect amphibian homes. That way, these animals can stick around for a long time. Ponds like these need to be kept clean for amphibian homes so that they can survive. It's a really awesome book. I hope you guys liked it too. Here at the end, just like in most nonfiction books, you guys are going to find the glossary, and that's where vocabulary can be found. So you'll see here the word bask means to lie in the sun to warm up, carnivore, cold-blooded, extinct. So when you're reading a book and there's a vocabulary word there that you might not understand or you don't feel like they clarify well enough for you, you can always go back to the end of the book and find the glossary, and it will give you the vocabulary and the definition, which I think is fantastic. I included this picture simply because I thought it was so cool. Look at this awesome poison dart frog. He's got that really colorful skin that we talked about, and he's using it to keep predators away. It's basically telling predators, hey, don't come near me because you won't like how I taste, right? Or you'll get the poison, which eventually will harm the predator. So he's actually doing the predator a favor by saying, hey, I'm trying to warn you, I don't taste good, or I'm poisonous. But I did think he looked really beautiful. All right, guys, just to wrap it up, how do amphibians help our environment? Why is it important to make sure we protect their habitat? And remember, their habitat is where they live. Well, first, amphibians eat bugs that would harm crops or food being grown on farms. Second, their poison can actually be used to create medicines, which are obviously helpful for others. 3, they are a source of food for some people and other animals. So around the world, there are cultures that actually eat amphibians. And we know that other animals do eat amphibians, even though they might not taste wonderful to them. Okay. So I hope you loved learning about amphibians. I think we'll have a little extra activity at the end of this as well. So stay tuned.